Alright, Chris, so welcome to the first episode of the Comics Lounge. Thank you for coming on and being the first victim.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you. So just going to run through a couple of questions with you. So firstly, how did you actually get into comedy?
I never meant to get into comedy. I was homeless at the time in Melbourne. I was in a bar it was called Edward's Tavern in Richmond. There was a comedian in there called Chris Bennett, Melbourne comic, great comic. We've since become really good friends. He had been on Hey Hey It's Saturday the night before, and I'd seen that somewhere on a television. And so I went, there's that funny bloke. And I had a few drinks, and I went, here's a joke you can use, and here's another one, like punters do when they see comedians. And I annoyed him for about 8 hours. And he said to me, if you like your comedy that much, come down to this particular venue, the Espy in St Kilda, where a lot of the great comics started out. He said, I'm hosting a show there on Sunday. I'll put your name on the door. You can see a show for free. So I went down there. My name was on the door. He'd remembered. I went backstage to thank him, and he said, you're here, good, you're on. And he was MC, threw me on stage completely cold. My maiden 5 minutes went for 15 minutes. I was shitting myself completely. Not knowing what to say, blank in front of the audience with him in the wings yelling out, here's one you can use. Getting back to me for everything I'd done to him the time before. But I enjoyed the experience, and it sort of evolved from there.
Okay, and then you, I'm assuming from the story that you had nothing written for the night. It was
absolutely nothing prepared. I remembered from my younger days, my dad used to take me down the shed and we'd listen to old Col Elliott cassettes. Yeah. So I just recited a lot of old Col Elliott jokes, basically.
The old Eddie Murphy way.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But the Espy was like a breeding pit for all the comedians that are out and about now. Or in those days, I've been doing this 18 years now, but open mic comics, when I was an open mic comic, there were people like Bev Kellick, Rove McManus was an open mic comic there, Dave Hughes was an open mic comic there. No one knew who those guys were, you know. And now they're both multi-millionaires, and I'm sitting here with you.
Yeah. You're the lucky one, I assume. Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned you were homeless at the time.
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
Well, I enjoy a drink, and a relationship had failed in Western Australia. I drank myself into a hole. I'd sold all my furniture to drink. Ended up in an alcohol rehab in Western Australia. Did that for 3 months. Did exactly what they said you shouldn't do in a rehab, and got into a relationship with a girl in there, which lasted about 11 months. Consequently, we both started drinking again. I was thrown out. I had nowhere to go. I was homeless in WA. My sister paid for a bus across the Nullarbor to get me back to Victoria. But that was as far as she was willing to go. She didn't want the drunk. The family didn't want the drunk, so I was homeless around Melbourne. After that first comedy experience, Bev Kellick lived in St Kilda, and she let me sleep on her lounge room floor for quite a while. Her son Abel, who's now about 25 or something, was 5 at the time. Yeah. So he's probably 23 now, 22. He used to come home from school, his first year at school, bring schoolmates home, and I'd be passed out and drunk on the lounge room floor, and he'd say, oh, don't worry about Chris, he's just our pet drunk.
As you do. Yeah. As you do. Okay. And so obviously you've mentioned Carl Barron and people like that, like the older comedians. Anyone else that you sort of, I guess, channeled in the older days or channeled now that inspired you? Not just, I guess, comedians that get up on stage, but also actors and things like that as well.
Yeah, Col Elliott was a big influence in me starting out because I'd grown up listening to his stuff. Since doing comedy, Pommy Johnson, in my opinion, is probably the funniest comedian in the country, and such as our industry, that he's driving trucks around Melbourne at the moment, you know. Still the funniest bloke I know. So he's a big influence. People like Dave Grant, who's passed away, Aussie comedians, and I guess every comedian would have a soft spot for, what's his name? That bloody Scotsman. Billy Connolly.
Billy Connolly, yeah.
The comedian's comedian.
Yeah. You can't go past Billy Connolly, definitely. And also, okay, so getting into your music career with Bloke.
Is it a career, is it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, many things are a career, so, you know, we'll call it that. So obviously, biggest known one, probably the one that you get asked about all the time, is Bloke. So obviously, other than the whole Meredith Brooks side, number one, what made you do Bloke?
I mentioned Pommy Johnson before. It was before I was doing comedy. he was with Chris Bennett that first night I saw Chris Bennett. So I got to know the two of them. They were sharing a house at the time. And through getting to know Pommy, and on that night I said, here's one you can use, here's a song I sing, blah, blah, blah. Pommy was a musical act, played guitar, and he called me up one time and said, you write songs, I've got an idea, come round to my house. And went round and said, I've got an idea for a song. I'm either going to do Bitch, that song Bitch, I'll do a parody of that. I'm still going to call it Bitch and do a song about Pauline Hanson, who was big in the news at the time. Or I want to do the male response and sing a song called Bloke. And the example he gave me was, I'm a bloke, I'm a plumber. That line never actually made it into the song. Sat down with a pad like that and wrote both versions for him. And he started doing the Bitch version about Pauline Hanson on stage. And probably a year later I said, I started doing comedy. I said, do you mind if I do that Bloke song? He said, no, you wrote it, go for it. So then it went to #1. So yeah.
Probably wasn't expecting that, were you?
No. I don't think Pommy was expecting it either.
And the follow-ups, or the follow-up songs, Mullet, and then there was the other one.
Beer is My Poison.
That was the one that no one bought, no one heard.
Yeah.
Those ones there. Sort of, is there any other sort of songs that you've got in the old noggin that you...
Oh, there's a stack of them. I did a festival show, which was basically an hour of songs.
Okay.
Yeah, so, there's quite a few in there. The follow-up to Bloke was going to be a parody of Madison Avenue's song, Don't Call Me Baby. I'd written a song called Don't Drink My Stubby. And for years they wouldn't give me permission to do that one. You need permission, kids.
Oh.
Yeah, they wouldn't give me permission to record it. And so that one sort of went by the by, which may have changed the whole career. It could have ended up a Weird Al Yankovic kind of setup.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I really enjoyed that song, but never got permission for it. And so the contract I had with EMI, they needed me to have a second single very quickly. The deal was, if I had 2 successful singles, then they would fund an album.
Okay.
And so very quickly, the TV show Pop Stars was on then. It was like a prequel to X Factor or Idol or any of those. Yeah. And they were building a band in this show. The band that won, or the girls they put together, were Bardo.
Oh, yeah, yep.
That's where they started on the TV show Pop Stars. Yeah. Bardo's debut single, which went to #1, was a song called Poison. And so very quickly I wrote a song called Beer is My Poison to that tune. And they were happy to give me permission for it. And so that was the follow-up single. But as I've said on many an occasion, the radio stations worked out that I can't actually sing, so they never played it and no one heard it. And I tried a few other times with a few other songs. Like you said, Mullet Head was a duet with the Radiators. Yeah. That was an interesting one. I've always been a fan of the Radiators as well, and they approached me after the success of Bloke because of the persona I had in the song. They were doing, their new single was called Unsophisticated, and they just wanted me to appear in the video clip, which I did. But I said to them at the time, if I can do a parody of your song Gimme Head, I'll appear in the video clip. We all agreed on it, so I appeared in their clip. Then I showed them what I'd come up with for Gimme Head. It was a song about my haircut. It was called Mullet Head. And they liked it that much that we actually recorded it as a duet. So they became the first band in history to pull the piss out of their own song, basically. But once again, that we approached Triple M, the bosses at Triple M, going, look, you've played Bloke all the time. It's gone really well. You always play the Radiators. They're a Triple M stable. If we do this together, will you guarantee you'll play it for us? And they said, yeah, of course we will. It'll be great. And never got played again, and no one bought it. And so, my recording career was very short-lived, but I'm always coming up with songs. I've got a new one I do on stage at the moment. Audiences seem to think I should record it, but once again, it comes down to whether people are going to play it after I record it.
People want to buy it and stuff as well, No, definitely. The other question that I had with the parody songs, especially in pertains to that, I've got a mate, Damon. And he's always, every time we put a song on, he's always turning it dirty or changing the words, and it's turning out pretty funny. Is that sort of similar to what you do? You'll just hear a song and you go, okay, I'll tweak these words, and then you sort of go from there, or is it just a point of, okay, this is what the song sounds like, I need words to fit in with that?
It's not something I always did. Long before comedy, long before being homeless, I had a brick paving company. I was working in the northwest of Western Australia in Port Hedland. And there was an AM radio station over there. And I used to go into the studio once a week and record a parody song the tune would have been something that was in the top 40 that week, and the content of the song would have been something that was in the news that week, basically. And one of the songs from that period was Geoph Australia, when the Republic Monarchy debate was on, which ended up being the B-side on. But there was a lot of horrible songs there, and I was probably late 20s when I was doing that, but that was the first experience I'd had with changing the words of songs. I didn't do it as a school kid or any of that sort of thing. Yeah, but now when I write them, I look for words that rhyme with the real words, or even are still the real words in a different context.
Yeah.
You know, I try and keep it as true to the original song as I can. Yeah.
So more of a rebuttal rather than a parody.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And speaking of on stage and things like that, best heckler.
Best heckler was very early in the piece. I was an open mic comic. I was in a pub in West Footscray in Melbourne where someone had been shot 2 nights before the show. Rough old area. I was in a room they'd set aside for the comedy that was away from the bar. There was double doors at that end that opened to the bar, and the bar was an island bar in that room. There was no one in this room where the comedy was. I was on a milk crate for a stage, had a veranda light as a spotlight. Yeah. There was 2 old blokes sitting in the other room at the bar in line with the door. They could see me, I could see them, and I'd started my routine to an empty room and them in the other room. They would have been in their 70s, and about 3 words into my set, one of them turned around and went, "Mate, would you shut up, race 8's on." You got no comeback to that.
No, what are you going to say?
Yeah.
So what did you...
Yeah, well, I fucked your mother. No, no, there's nothing.
So did you shut up or did you keep going?
Yeah, thank you, good night.
Yeah, fair
We've
enough.
already had one shooting here this week.
Yeah. No, definitely. So you didn't wear the bulletproof vest or
No.
anything like that? Yeah, fair enough. And I assume the answer's probably going to be the same, but your worst one as well.
Worst one? Yeah, that was best and worst.
Best and worst, I had a feeling of that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so in my research I noticed that you were in the RAN, and as part of that you were a chef.
That's right.
And you were one of only, I think, 9 people allowed
Seven
people allowed to cook for the chef, for the Queen.
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did that feel?
It was great. We almost killed her, but it was good. Yeah. No one really thought through what we were doing. It was a banquet type setup, a smorgasbord type thing where she could help herself to whatever. We had to cook the whole menu months before, originally for the commander of that particular base to approve, which he did. Then we cooked it for the Premier of Victoria, who was John Cain at the time. He approved it as well. Then we cooked it for the Prime Minister to approve, Bob Hawke, and he approved it. Then we cooked it for the Governor General, the Queen's representative, and he approved it. That was Sir Zelman Cohen. And so then we cooked it on the day for the Queen, and 70% of the meal was seafood, and Elizabeth Windsor's allergic to seafood. So almost solved the Republican debate long before the country had it.
Fair enough. Okay, cool. And obviously it would have been a big honour. I'm assuming you got to meet the Queen as well.
It was like a variety performance, and we all lined up afterwards, and she came along and shook the hands and said words to different people and stuff. Yeah.
Did you apologise for the seafood?
No.
Yeah.
Oh no, I had a good feed afterwards.
Yeah.
She actually said to me, "What do you do for a hobby, Chris?" I said, "I like photography, man." And she said, "That's a coincidence. My brother-in-law's a photographer." And I said, "That is a coincidence. My brother-in-law's a Queen."
Did she have a good laugh as well, or did she just give you that?
I wasn't allowed to say anything to the Queen after that. Yeah.
I'm assuming you're probably not surprised that you weren't allowed to. And I believe it was shortly after that as well that you actually left the RAN.
Yeah.
Was it as a result you just felt that bad about the seafood? You thought, I can't do this again?
No. It was time to go.
Yeah, fair enough. So obviously that sort of begs the question. I mean, obviously the RAN obviously wasn't for you.
I really enjoyed my time there, but I did about 8.5 years in the Navy. I wasn't for them, is the proper answer. Yeah. I got what they call a snarler. Services no longer required.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, but I think I would like to see everyone do time in the military. I learned respect for people. I learned how to work properly. I learned how to interact with people, social skills, all of that. But I would recommend about the time I did 8.5 years, because I've seen people who have done 20 years. I've worked with them after the Navy, and they've got no ability to interact in civilian life. They're militarised. They might be running a restaurant or something like that, and the staff turns over so quickly because they can't talk. They talk to people like, I'm your boss and you'll do this, or you'll give me 20 push-ups. And in civilian life, people tell you to get fucked if you tell them to.
Exactly, I would. So, and then obviously then bricklaying wasn't right for you either.
Not bricklaying, I was brick paving.
Brick paving?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I cooked for a while outside of the Navy in different restaurants around the country. And as a chef, your weekends are Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yep.
Horrible job chefing for a living. It's split shifts, long days, a lot of alcoholics who were chefs.
So that's why you were a chef then, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Or you could say that's why I was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Yeah, what came first? The beer or the food?
One.
Yeah, the chicken or the egg? The beer or the food?
The beer or the food, the beer or Chris.
One of the kitchen hands in one of the restaurants I was working at, she had a partner who had a brick paving business, and he needed a labourer for Monday and Tuesday, and I said, well, it's my weekend, I'll go out and give him a hand. Yeah. I went out, I loved it that much that I never went back to the kitchen.
Okay.
Worked with him as a labourer for a while till I learned all the skills, and then got my own business doing it, and I really enjoyed doing that.
So if you weren't doing stand-up comedy today, what do you think you were doing? Like bricklaying, chefing, prostituting?
On an Xbox on the dole somewhere, drinking. Yeah.
Isn't that the comedic lifestyle anyway?
Pretty much. Pretty much. Oh, except for the dole part, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
After 18 years, if you're still on the dole, you shouldn't be doing comedy.
Well, Dave Hughes has learnt that. So definitely.
Yeah, he could buy the dole now.
Yeah, or at least fund it,
The whole company, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's definitely going well, Dave Hughes.
And more power to him, too. He worked really hard. He was probably one of the longest serving open mic comics I know. He open mic for about 4 or 5 years without advancing, with no one really getting what he did, and then all of a sudden something clicked and he went bang.
Just went off.
Yeah.
He was, and from memory, open micing's generally traditionally about 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah, roundabout.
Yeah.
2 years in, you should start getting some middle bracket work, or at least a little bit of paid work. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
He stuck at it for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, well, there you go. At least it's tenacity and shows the drive and the attention to what he wants.
And after 8 years of working really hard at what he does, he became an overnight success.
Yeah, which is good, and you see him all the time now. So you've had a couple of acting gigs. You've obviously got the Bloke's World at the moment, which obviously, looking at you in the mullet and everything, definitely suits it. Yeah,
not really acting this one though. It's more hosting.
No shameful plugs there at all. No, definitely not. And Housos as well, obviously.
Housos was acting. That was fun, a lot of fun. And prior to that, Fat Pizza with the same crew. I did a whole season on Fat Pizza.
Yep.
Only got 3 episodes on Housos, then I got killed. Angry Anderson's bikie gang threw me off a fishing boat.
It sounds about right for what Housos are doing. You know, they're got to stay true, or is it keeping it real?
Yeah.
So is there any acting in the future for you, or anything like, would you like to maybe go back to Housos or do that kind of sort of acting again, or act with Blake's World?
I got taken to America. There's an Australian script called The Bloke Goes to Hollywood, so I had to be in that one.
Yeah, definitely.
And we shot a lot of stuff in America. The film never got completed, which is the same. It was a great film. But I worked over there. The American co-stars were Corey Feldman, Rowdy Roddy Piper, the wrestler who recently passed away, Wee Man from Jackass. There was a lot of good people in that. I made a lot of good friends out of it. But unfortunately, that never went off. And once again, I was playing the bloke. I always play a criminal or a doll bludger.
Don't know why. Don't know why.
I just want to be a gay Russian ballet dancer.
I'll try and write you a script, Chris, just for you.
No, not in a script. That's what I want to be.
Sorry, no, we're past that if you weren't comedian question now.
Yeah, right,
so,
right.
Okay, yeah. You'll have to go back to that in the editing room, maybe, yeah. No, definitely.
That would have been a funny answer for that question.
Yeah, no, definitely.
If you weren't doing comedy, what would you want to do? I want to be a gay Russian ballet dancer.
We'll remember that for next time, yeah. Or if you ever get interviewed by Cotton again, you may be after years.
I can guarantee you I will never be interviewed by Cotton again. Even if he's got a Tonight Show that goes worldwide, I'll say, sorry, I'm busy that night, I can't make it.
Make sure you YouTube it. It is good. It is good, depending on your...
Don't
variation
YouTube
of
it. I don't want anyone to see it. I don't even know why we've brought it up here promoting it.
So I noticed as well, obviously, the way that I've met you is through Facebook, through a friend, Stephen J. Whiteley. No shameful plugs there either. And I've noticed, obviously, you're very, very active on Facebook. A few things that I wanted to find out with that is, number one, unlike I see with a lot of celebrities, A-list, B-list, whatever the case may be, is they've normally got their acting side of Facebook, so, fan profile, as well as a personal Facebook. And I've noticed with yourself, it's really just a sort of combination of the two on one profile.
It is. I do have the two. My management company set up the fan page.
Okay.
I always forget it's there and always forget to put stuff on there. And I unlike some of these D or F grade celebrities that feel the need to change their name so people can't find them. I could never understand that. I'm still Chris Franklin on Facebook, so everyone finds me, and I accept all the friends' requests and give everyone a chance to be a friend on Facebook. If they start putting ads for sunglasses on my wall, I delete them, or if they start getting a little bit creepy in the personal messages, I delete them. Basically, you can always block someone on Facebook, so it doesn't hurt to say good day first, does it?
Yeah, no, definitely not. But in saying that, though, I mean, don't you really honestly miss out on getting the really good deals on some cheap rate there?
I get plenty of opportunities to get those deals before I delete them.
Well, that's all right. Next time I'll get you to bring me a pair. So do you find that Facebook as a medium these days is really a good way to get yourself out there? Like, do you think that more people are noticing you now than what they say did 10 years ago? Or
Yeah, I think so. It's sort of at the back end now. The younger guys are all their Instagrams and Twitter and all. I mean, I've got a Twitter account, but I always forget to use that. That's at Bloke Franklin. Don't tweet a lot, so...
Updated every 6 months. Same as my showers, basically.
So, yeah, I don't have an Instagram account, so I'm not onto any of that, but you see a lot of the comedians who know how to work these things, and they can fill a room for an unadvertised secret show just through a message on one of those things to their fans, you know, but... No, I just use it to, if someone says hello in a private message on Facebook, I'll say hello and conduct a conversation with them. I know they're really excited at their end, some of the fans. But yeah, if sometimes they're just writing stuff just to keep the conversation going, and when that happens, I always just give them the thumbs up. Yeah, that's the nice chat, see you later.
That's the small thumb, not the big thumb, the small thumb.
Oh, no, hold it till it, pump it up.
Just before it busts?
Yeah.
Yep, okay, cool.
I love that, but that basically says nice chat. See you later. Yeah,
it's the full stop of the conversation. Really, yeah, definitely. So it probably brings forward the next question, which is a really good one in relation to that. Do you get a lot of obsessed or stalkerish fans through Facebook or any other social media function, or I guess just in general?
There's a few. I'll be careful what I say here because they are stalkers, so they'll be watching this.
Yep.
They find everything that I...
Click the like, keep watching, it's great. I'll get you an indefinitely.
Keep clicking. Just stop talking to me. No, there are some... And there's ones now, I don't even know how this app works or whatever, but they're small recorded voice messages in the Facebook messaging part. I don't know how to do that. But I get some really weird messages, and it's quite public. My partner and I on Facebook, and so my fans then friend her, and she's got all these weird people friending her. So now we're getting on my message thing little, hey, g'day Chris and Michelle. It's Jimmy the Junkie here. How you going? Yeah, weird.
So we're not talking about an episode of How's here. This is actual real life.
This is when this interview's over and we've turned the camera off. I'll get my phone out and I will show you this shit, mate.
Definitely.
I showed a mate of mine, a musician who I'm camped with at the moment up here in Newcastle, and I got about 3 voice recordings into this 12 voice recording thing that all come after midnight for some reason. And he said, "Can you stop doing that? It's really scaring me." And I said, "Mate, they're sending them for me."
No, that's definitely going to be scary, and I assure you, once we're done and you do play the recordings, the red light on that camera means it's off. Okay? Definitely. So what's Chris like off stage? I mean, obviously, we've had a bit of a chat here, and I've said you're very down to earth. But what do you like to do when you're not on stage?
I've found lately I like to do nothing. I like to downtime. We have a lot of downtime as comedians. Obviously, we work 1 hour a night, and if we have a busy week, that's 4 hours.
Yeah.
You know, so there is a fair bit of downtime. I'm now very comfortable sitting at home, just looking at Facebook, bit of music going. I can do nothing for hours and hours and be very happy doing it.
Yeah, fair enough. So what you're saying is the only difference between yourself and those doll bludgers is the Xbox.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think they think they're doing something.
Yep. Yep. No, definitely.
So they're always way too busy to find a job.
Yeah, well, it's a demanding lifestyle. I mean, I know myself from gaming in the past, not now, definitely. It's a different. I'll edit that one out.
That's it. The interview's over. Yeah. I'm out of here. Don't you ever say that again. I never did.
Yeah. It was the best driving you've ever done, wasn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
She told me, apparently.
It's which is quite normal because myself personally, I like to have a couple of drinks first because I'm very self-conscious about driving, so I need that thing for confidence. Don't drink and drive. So
now you tell me. Get my license back next year.
That's got to be exciting.
Yeah, after 16 years, yeah.
Did you? Is that?
No, it's probably about 14 years.
It's actually a true story. You actually have your license.
Yeah.
I didn't find that out in my research.
Lost it a long time ago, many times for drink driving. Yeah.
14 years.
Well, there was a few times that I'd lost it, and all those small suspensions of 3 to 12 months were all being served on top of each other. But then I'd lost it that many times. The last time I went to court for it, 14 years ago, I had to get a barrister, not a solicitor, to keep me out of jail. And he made a deal with the judge where I didn't go to jail, but all those previous sentences, instead of being on top of each other, serve one, then the next one starts, and the next one. And May 2016, I can get my license back.
Jesus. And I think the important question is if you learnt your lesson, don't get caught.
Well, I think there'll be at least a week and a half where I'll be able to drive myself to gigs.
I like it. A man with a plan, that's the important thing, really.
Got to book as many gigs as I can in for that week and a half after May.
That's the part where you're not promoting with the police where the gigs are, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So
they don't come to my gigs. No sense of humour, the coppers.
Most of them.
They do a wonderful job though. Shout out to all the boys in blue.
No, definitely they actually do, and I hope they're all watching as well.
Yeah. Click like.
And he is just joking about the drink driving.
The like is the button that looks like that thing you put the handcuffs on.
Yeah. So other than potentially drink driving, what's in the future for Chris Franklin?
I just plod along. I don't make any plans. I never have. Never planned to be a comedian when I was homeless. I don't recall lying in the bunker on the 6th fairway thinking one day I'm going to be a famous comedian. I've just got to get myself out of this bunker. No, I don't make any plans. I started doing comedy. I didn't make a plan to write a #1 hit. It just happened and then went to #1. And I just, if you don't make any plans, you don't get disappointed, basically. And generally things will happen for you.
Fair enough. Is this the old one day at a time that you learned in rehab, was it?
No, it's just if you make plans, you're going to get disappointed. I learned that from life.
Yeah, life has a tendency of doing that. And just to finish off the interview part.
I planned both my marriages to last forever.
Yeah, that's just, your own fault for thinking that, really. Yeah. So to finish off, just a random fact about Chris.
Random fact about Chris. I spent my pre-primary years from age 3 to 5 living in what is now the refugee detention centre on Manus Island.
Oh.
My father was in the Navy. New Guinea was a province of Australia back then, and we had a naval base on Manus Island called HMAS Tarringale. And my father was based there for 2 years, so I lived there from age 3 to 5 with the the little pickaninnies. We had a family that lived in a hut down in our backyard. Jonathan, the father, was the cleaner of our house, and his whole family lived down there, and he had a son my age. We used to hang out and run through the jungle and pick wild pineapples, and yeah, eating dog straws at one stage, that they were balling up down the bottom. Mum slapped that out of my mouth pretty quick. So, had a pet couscous, which isn't a vegetarian thing. It was like a possum type thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Stay tuned. I'll put a picture up after the show. And all right. So, lastly, I will pick up my clipboard for this. I just thought we'd have a little bit of fun and play a little bit of word association.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so for those watching who don't know what this is, for starters, go and see a psychologist. You'll learn pretty quickly. What I'm going to do is just say one word to Chris, and Chris just has to give me his first response.
One word back.
All right, so, bogan.
Intelligent.
Comedy.
Awesome.
Houses.
Life.
Job.
Don't do it.
Interview.
It was fun.
Beer.
Mother's milk.
Drunk.
Life.
Heckler.
Fight.
Fun.
Fun. Drunk.
Let's go back to the first question there. Joke.
Joke. I haven't got a response to that. I don't do jokes. I tell stories about my life that people think are funny and that I'll just laugh at because they're glad it's not their life. That was a big response to that.
Stand up.
Stand up. Amazing.
R-A-N.
R-A-N. Yeah, I enjoyed my time there. It was a good life experience.
And lastly, music.
Music is everything.
Go. Okay. Thank you for tuning in. This is the first Comics Lounge. Hopefully I'll get another one up every week with a different comedian. Now, stay tuned to the credits and we'll have Meme of the Week chosen by Chris.
Cool. My record on stage is 9 schooners that the audience bought me and a long neck of VB in a 40-minute set.
Jesus. What were you like when you got off stage?
I was sitting on the front of the stage by the end of it, speaking in a language I just invented, just going, and my dear friend CL Stowe, who plays the girlfriend in my Bloke video clip. She was a Sydney-based comic. She did a lot of radio on the Central Coast. She was the MC that night, and she just very politely wandered up and took the microphone out of my hand and said, "That's enough now, Chris, away you go." She got on stage and said, I'd like to thank the Fringe Bar for the responsible service of alcohol. Chris is actually giving me a lift home tonight.